Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glenn Sutherland.
Welcome to another episode of Canadian Investing in the U.S. This week, my repeat guest is Cassidy. I just looked it up. Cameron was on the show episode 68, which we're in the 200s now. So that was like, what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, probably 2.5. Anyway, been a while. So back then we were talking about a lot of Durham region kind of stuff. And I got chatting with Cameron, and he's done some expansion since then. So I'm like, let's record another show. So Cameron, let's first start off by giving people a little bit of an intro, a little bit of a revision or revise people on who you are and what you do. And then we'll get into your story and what you're doing now.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on first, Glenn. It's I love chatting with you, and the podcast is doing really well into the 200s. That's great to see. And I know a lot of people, you're the knowledge and the guy to go to when it comes to investing in the States now. And it's really cool to see your brand built up and, and to see you doing so well with all your properties. And I've been keeping up to date with your flips and whatnot you've been doing in the States. So when I was on before in this 68 episode, I was still investing in Ontario. I was helping investors mainly with either student rentals in Peterborough or doing the burst strategy in Oshawa, where the kind of the two focuses with those investors. And, I was doing that myself. I have 3 duplexes that I still own. I was doing some flipping as well while things were going a little bit crazy here, and the numbers were starting to get a little bit out of whack, right? And the Burr properties just weren't making sense for me. So I kind of went to flipping, and then in about November, I said, you know what, I want to go to the States, and I've bought 2 properties now in Florida. So I'm kind of doing a little bit of both. And I've had a lot of good conversations and interviews or whatnot about everyone's interested in Florida, right? It's the hot new topic.
Florida's for Canadians, it's the most attractive place to go. So Florida, you pick Florida, and then you pick a city. Why that city? What drew you down to? Well, maybe before we go into what drew you down there, what city and why'd you pick that city?
So I'm in the St. Petersburg area. It's 45 minutes from Tampa, and a couple of reasons why. Kind of selfishly, it's the area I knew. My wife is from there. My wife's mother lives there, so we go down there a lot. We've been going down there a lot. I knew the area well. I knew the beaches. I knew the market. So for me, it was just that, comfort of not having to, re-research and, re-educate about a market. I had money and wanted to take action right away. So it was just like, that's where we went and said, St. Pete it is. I do like, I'm a big sports guy. I like, all the sports that are around there. The Blue Jays are there, the Lightning, the football. With the Bucks and that there. I mean, I feel like it's a lot like Oshawa, where you're 40 minutes from a major city. You're kind of right in that sweet spot of having the international airport there, having tons of, exposure and things to do. The price points are higher than some areas of Florida, but that's why I did the AirBNB strategy too.
Yeah, and I believe the Lightning are actually in St. Pete. So you're right there. A little off topic right off the start, but I was just down in Cape Coral, Florida, I was down there a couple weeks ago, and then I was down there 2 months ago. And if the Lightning would have lost at least one of those games and not swept the Panthers, I was planning to go down there, but they swept them the night before I got there, and I was like, come on. Anyway.
They're still in though. They're still going here. So hey,
I have to go back. I'm gonna get back in Canada now though, so I have to go all the way down there. Probably in conference finals, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive. Oh yeah, we're recording this in because this is gonna come out in like a month or so, or maybe 2 months. But we're recording this in early June. When's it? June 9th. So We're talking hockey references. So when you listen to this, you might be like, they've already won the cup by now.
Yeah.
But anyway, way off topic. One question, you said that your wife was from down there. Any chance you got a social security number with that?
No, I did the ITIN number. Everything's still in my name. So no, we're thinking about it.
Okay.
We're keeping an eye on what's happening here in Ontario and, the whole political scene. And it's an option for us. There was a number of reasons that drew me to Florida and kind of selfishly, the first purchase I made was kind of something that could have been, a place that we could see ourselves if we had to make a move. So it wasn't, I would say, the best investment, although it is doing really well. For us, it was like about options and saying, what, it'd be nice to have something down there and, something where we have 2 kids now. So it would have to accommodate that. Where my second property I bought was a 2 1-bedroom duplex. It was a duplex with 2 1-bedrooms. So not really a family friendly style property.
Gotcha. So you just touched on right before you're talking about those properties, reasons why go down to Florida, right? What were you thinking there?
Well, the numbers stopped making sense here in Ontario a long time ago, to be honest. But, I was changing strategies here. So first thing, it was like, all right, where do I want to go? I did want to do Airbnb. So I was researching things like cottages in Ontario, Prince Edward County, keeping it in there. But then like the political scene honestly scared me to be frank, which kind of started, me going, wow, like they have a lot of control here and they are, imposing things that aren't really something that I was on board with. So for me, it was like, okay, we knew Florida. I knew Airbnbs. I felt comfortable managing them. So, for me, it was, let's go down there where it is a vacation market. It is a vacation spot. I didn't want to go somewhere that, people don't like to vacation.
Right.
And again, we knew the area. So it was kind of a little bit of both. I like the idea that, we are now hedging against the Canadian economy, the Canadian dollar. I think, we're seeing the pullback now in prices, but our economy is solely relied on, or a majority of it is relied on housing, and housing is pulling back here. And I think it's going to continue to pull back. So it was a little bit of a hedge against that. And the numbers look good. The numbers just look good. When you feel comfortable about it, I wanted to have a different strategy. I wanted to try something different. I was flipping properties. I wanted to get away from that and kind of build more long-term wealth. And the cash flow is really nice too.
So you mentioned self-management. What would you say are some of the perks and the disadvantages of doing it yourself or self-managing your Airbnbs?
Well, the perks is you're saving yourselves 20%. Most
I've heard up to even 30% on some.
It could be, yeah. The quotes that I got were 20 and 21% from 2 property management companies that were like not putting their property on Airbnb. And I was like, what? And I was like, because Airbnb charges 15% to the guest, right? So the numbers just wouldn't make sense for everyone to take a cut. So that's where it probably gets up to 30%, because maybe they'll put those on Airbnb and collected maybe 15 or something. I don't know. Yeah. For me, it was like, okay, I was excited about doing this. Like, I don't mind, like some people, hire a property manager because they're too busy or they're, they don't want to take it on. Where for me, I'm like, listen, I'm excited. Like when I get a booking, I got a notification from Airbnb right now. I'm going, ooh, I don't know. It's just that adrenaline rush of going, sweet, I got another large booking for this guest or this month. So, I was excited and thought, I do believe in self-educating first, meaning, and I recommend that to people doing burst strategies around here. I'm like, you should know the Residential Tenancy Act in Ontario if you want to be a landlord. You shouldn't just say, yeah, I'm going to buy a property and hire a manager, in my opinion. So I was the same way. I'm like, look, I'm going to manage the first one myself. I want to learn the ins and outs. Will I make a few mistakes? I'm sure. Will I lose a bit of money? I'm sure. But what I gain in knowledge and education, and then if I do want to hire somebody or outsource later on, I can train them, or I can set expectations for them. And I've actually found it extremely easy. The one app that has really saved me, obviously besides Airbnb, is TurnoverBNB.
Oh.
So it's a cleaning company, or it's an app for cleaners, where essentially it works the exact same way. You have your property loaded up, it's connected to Airbnb. Anytime someone books on Airbnb, you have a list of cleaners that are available in the area. So I have now designated one that has been doing a good job, and she's kind of the main person I use. But if for whatever reason there was issues, they would have other people. So I don't even talk to her, right? I have a checklist loaded up there at the end of each clean. She will, she will load up pictures. So if there's any problems or damage, she'll let me know. My credit card's right on file. So she knows she's getting paid and then that, takes some money off. So, I mean, from that side of it, which is usually people's biggest concern is, who's going to clean it and how are you going to be messaging your cleaners and scheduling all that. None of that, it's everything is pretty much automated on Airbnb. You have your instant book, you have your automated messages welcoming them, thanking for the booking, answering frequently asked questions, and once you have it set up, I mean, it's less work than my long-term tenants here in Ontario. They're giving me more problems than my Airbnb bookings. Little things will come up here and there about, hey, how many beach towels do you have? Or, I had someone, had a nosebleed on a pillow and I said, no problem, I'll replace the pillow. I went on Target. You had it shipped out there in 2 hours, right? It was like, nowadays with technology, it's crazy. It's crazy what you can accomplish from a distance and how smooth it can be. But
so with that Target shipping, like, they ship it to the location, but what if the cleaner is still not there? Is there because the buildings you have, they're either a house or a condo. So is there someone to receive that, or what? Do you have to time this out to when the cleaners are there? Because when else is there anybody there? When I started investing in the US, I did it by myself and had to go through the growing pains of doing that. GlennSutherland.com/coaching. A 12-week coaching program done 1 hour per week over Zoom from the comfort of your own home. Classes are kept to 5 people to be able to answer everyone's questions. Shortcut the process. Make fewer mistakes. Curriculum available at GlennSutherland.com/coaching. Right?
Yeah, you kind of time it out. And that's why, I went on, this happened yesterday or the day before, where I went on at around 9 a.m. The guest had messaged me and said, hey, listen, this happened. I said, no problem. I went on Target's website. They had the delivery between 1 and 2, and I knew my cleaners were going roughly around that time. They drop it off at the front door and it sits there. I have Blink cameras on both properties. So, I have eyes on when the cleaners are going in, the guests that are coming in, all things that, long-term tenants would probably rip out or lose their mind at if they saw, but it's standard there. So I can see when the pillow was dropped off. I see when my cleaners show up. Again, they load up pictures on the inside unit once it's done. And there's zero communication happening between us, which is nice, right? But,
and then so you have probably a cleaning closet. So you could have the same thing. You could order your supplies when they're going to be there, and the same sort of thing, and they could restock it for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's excellent, right? That's one of the big things. I was like, when my head, because a lot of times I've hired property management to do it for me, but to do it myself, that was one of the things I always wondered. I'm like, how do I restock? How to restock all this stuff? Because some
people don't. They just supply the basics, and they don't even supply that stuff. I do. It's easy to ship toilet paper and paper towel and whatnot there, and I'm trying to provide good customer service to them, right? Like, you're in that business now that it's a different type of business. They expect clean, they expect modern, as opposed to and it's one of the pros. You going back to that original question, to me, maybe, sorry, you were asking about self-management, but to me, I brought my family down there end of May, stayed there for 2 weeks, blocked off the time. The condo's right on the beach. We got a pool, so I brought the kids. I swear the place was in better shape than when we bought it, and I'm looking at it going, it's been thoroughly cleaned every week. And even the guests, their mentality is different. Like, you're dealing with people that want to be there, that are happy to be there, that are happy to pay. I don't know. I'm so sold on it. It's crazy. It's, maybe I'm sounding a little bit kookish, but.
So another question I have for you.
Yeah.
Since we're just talking about how you kind of run these, say you're in a condo, right? I know a lot of times if you're doing Airbnb, the easiest way to do it is have the locks that are all controlled by Wi-Fi, and you can change codes and do all this stuff. But if you're in a condo, can you change the locks, or do they have to look the same as the hallway, right? No regulation there?
No, not at all. And so what I have is I have like the digital lock on the front door, and then I also have a lockbox nearby with a spare set of keys.
Just
So
in
just
case.
in case, yeah, like and that spare set of keys has the key to the owner's closet, which has all the supplies in it. So I don't give them that code, but if they like message me saying, "Hey Cam, I need something," I can easily just say, "Hey, go to the lockbox. There's a key in there," and I can direct them to that. And then there's a spare set of keys in case like the batteries die or something like that. And no, I mean the building that I'm in again is that was one of the key items for me, is finding areas that were pro Airbnb, that had already ruled on if they were going to allow it or not.
Yep.
There's areas that haven't, and now we're starting to introduce regulations. San Diego, Nashville, Atlanta are all places that have recently banned Airbnbs or made it so tough, just like in Toronto and Oshawa.
Yeah.
Where it has to be your primary residence. You can only do it 180 days a year. All these loopholes, which basically make the business of it impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it was about going to somewhere that was already doing it and already allowed it and already had it in its bylaws, so that it wouldn't be an issue of it being outlawed or bylawed out.
Cool. If for whatever reason they did change that bylaw, would your properties work as a long-term, or what would the result be in that situation?
The duplex 100%. So the duplex I kept the long-term tenant on the one side, who pays 1,800 plus hydro. And then the other side, I have it on Airbnb. So I kind of was like, I'm going to do a little trial run here and see how it works. And right now that one's bringing in about 4,000 to 4,500 a month. On Airbnb. But if that one, ever had issues, I could put a long-term tenant in there and it would still cash flow well. The condo, no. But that's the one that I said I bought kind of selfishly. That was like my cottage, right? Like we're going again for 3 weeks in August. Our family, like we're going to use that one quite a bit. And so, yeah, that one is more like, but we were, I knew that I could support that, and it was a place that we wanted to go. And, it was more like, hey, I know this is a bad purchase, but I think buying a cottage for a lot of people is too, right? It's like a second liability that you're taking care of, but it's surprisingly bringing me in the most amount of money though. So, hey, it's going well. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Just for curiosity, what kind of financing? You use one of the Canadian banks, you go for an American bank, or how do you lock that up?
Yeah, financing was a disaster, first off, for the condo. Yeah, you laugh because you know about it. But so we put 30% down. We used an American bank. I used a broker in the States, and he found me a mortgage with Citadel. And we put 30% down, but the closing was like, these guys were just fossils. Like they actually tried to extort me, which I like to warn people about. They basically tried to increase my interest rate 3 days before closing. So I was flying out there on the Friday, or I was flying out there on the Monday. It was supposed to close that Monday night. On the weekend before, on the Thursday or Friday, they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, your rate's now this." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I have no other financing." And I was able to negotiate it back down. I still ended up paying a little bit more, or a little bit higher rate than what I had, but again, I had no choice. So and that kind of led me to, I'll explain what I did with the duplex after that. But, even when we got there on the Monday, we were delayed until the Friday. We didn't actually close on the Friday. So we were 5 days delayed.
Were you planning to stay in town that long?
We were planning on staying at the condo, right? Like we were closing on the Monday. So I was like, okay, yeah, we'll close on it and we'll go stay at the condo for the week. We'll, get it cleaned up. So we ended up scrambling. We're getting a hotel, and then, so that's why I was livid, right? And I'm sitting here going like, on the Monday, they're like, "Oh, can you resend this document?" I'm like, "We're closing today. What are you talking about?" Right. And I was inexperienced and didn't know that this was common there, right? That you almost have to be prepared for it. And like, even the title companies were like, "No, almost all of our properties are delayed." And I'm like, none of the realtors seem to care. And I was like, well, why didn't someone tell me before I flew down here, right?
Yeah.
It was fine. Like we got a hotel, and my dad actually came with me. So it was kind of a nice little, experience. It worked out all right. And we ended up staying in a couple of hotels, and it closed and we got in that. But it really kind of shook me to be like, it was like a 40-day closing too. It wasn't like it was they consider that quick, but like off market, wholesalers and all that, they close in a week, right? They'll close in, crazy quick time. So I definitely, repositioned myself for the duplex to be able to buy in cash. And now I'm working on the refinance with that, which I'm actually having a little bit of luck directly through TD Bank right now. I'm going through that process where they're offering me a HELOC up to 75% loan to value. What was my rate? It was prime plus like 3.3 or something like that. It was like pretty good rate, I think.
So on the Canadian side, you're putting
on the American side, no,
Oh,
TD
in the
Bank
American
in the
side, okay.
States. Yeah. I haven't explored the Canadian side quite yet. I'm kind of wanting to keep my American stuff American and Canadian stuff
Oh,
Canadian.
no, I totally agree. It
some,
gets messy when you use your home equity line of credit and then you go down to the States and use it and you're trying to write off Canadian interest in the US and
Yeah.
you're having to do all these crazy
Conversions and
every
all
single
that.
number.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? So I'm trying to kind of avoid that, and I like their HELOC product's very interesting too. Like they do interest only for the first 10 years, and then after that they try to blend it and have a principal and fixed or something. But I'm like, that sounds amazing to me, like that thing will cash flow like crazy, and if I want to pay down some principal, I can, and so yeah, I'm going through that process right now.
Okay. I wrote one question down. You said that they like try to jump your rate on you, right? Right at the end. You said you negotiated down. I'm curious how you negotiated down because that happened to me as well, and I just walked. I told them to stick it.
That's what I said though. That's why I'm like, I'm out. Like, if you don't give me this, I was like, if you don't drop my rate, I don't care. I won't close on this, and I'll find something else, right? And so that's what I did. And then they came back and lowered the rate. And I was like, okay, like I did want the property, and I was excited about it. And the problem was, so the interesting part is what I did, which probably wasn't well, it was smart, but at the same time could have backfired on me. As soon as I firmed up on the property 40 days earlier, I took the listing photos and threw it on Airbnb. So I had $45,000 in bookings before I even closed on the property.
Hopefully you didn't book it that first week. I guess not, because you were the one who actually going to use it.
So I remember I said I flew in on the Monday, didn't close till the Friday.
Yeah.
And my first guest was coming that next Monday, so 2 days in advance, but it came fully furnished. I had to get patio furniture, which was it. So we focused on that, and the place, we brought the cleaners in and had it ready for Monday. So my first guest came in Monday, and I got my first pay the next day after they came in. So it was like, closed on it and started making money right from day one, which was really nice. And it's been booked solid since we've had it. So besides the time that we've blocked off. So yeah.
Would you advise people to buy a property that was already an Airbnb, like, because that made it a little bit easier because it was furnished, or would you say it makes more sense to do it yourself? I'm just curious.
It depends. I did both, right? The duplex they came with 2 long-term tenants. And so we went down last week, and I think that's why we had to reschedule our initial session. And I had to bring in contractors, renovate it. We did flooring, we did a bathroom tile, we did painted it all and furnished it. And it's a 650 square foot, 1 bedroom. And it was a ton of work. Like, I was exhausted after the week, and I was paying people to do things, right? Like, I was putting together furniture and that, but like, I got rooms to go, and they came in and did everything. And I'm like, and it was exhausting and tough on a ground floor, 1 bedroom, super easy access. And I went, wow, my 3-bedroom condo, 10 floors up, that would have been a nightmare. That just would have been an absolute nightmare. So I really do love that, I was able to get the bookings, and it was on Airbnb. And I mean, for me, it was like, I was scared going to the States, right? Like most people, as you know, it's a big fear of coming to the States. Like, it's whoa. And so, to me, that mitigated my risk, or mitigated my fears. And so I felt great. That's why, like, I was ready to close. And like, that's why when they were trying to extort me, I'm like, well, whatever, I'd get a bad rap on Airbnb, but I'm like, at the same time, I wanted to close on it because I knew I was like, this is awesome already. Like, I was sold before I even closed on the property.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I like the idea of buying it already furnished and renovated. But again, the condo play was a riskier one, where the duplex is a way better investment. I bought that through a wholesaler. I'm going to do a full burr on that. Okay. And it's still going to cash flow a couple grand a month, right? So to me, that was a way smarter investment. It took more work, took more risk. I bought off a wholesaler, basically sight unseen. the wholesale process down there and the title company process.
You bought completely sight unseen, or did you have somebody walk that?
I bought it sight unseen. I had the pictures from the unit. And
you are a brave man.
I know. And I just love the location. I knew the location.
Okay.
And then even the wholesaler almost didn't sell it to me. I was like, it was $515, and I was like, I want it. I'm buying it. And he was like, because they had all scheduled walkthroughs the next day. And the Florida market's crazy busy too, right? And he calls me back. He goes, "Oh, I talked to my boss. He's like, you need to pay $530 if you want to buy it now. Like they usually have a buy now price, and then like then they have kind of like a bidding war, right? Even with the condo, I had to pay more than what it was listed for. And I said, listen, you told me you'd sell it to me for $515. He's like, all right, and he did. But then I got him to walk through it with me. And again, the wholesalers are good, right? They have all pictures. They have all the info, right? I find if the wholesaler is good, like I had a good sense of the property. I was prepared to do a reno on it. So I'm like, but it's in my mind, I was like, it's 2 1-bedroom duplex, block construction. If I price in the reno, I mean, what could go wrong, right? I'm like, I'm prepared to redo. You know what I mean? Like
you're prepared to redo it all anyway.
If it needs new kitchens, I'm fine. And it actually turned out better than I thought it would. And again, I was running the numbers on Airbnb, looking at it, going, this thing's going to be a cash cow. It could be a long-term rental. I just, I thought I could do a full burr, and the market doing what it was doing, it's looking like that's going to be the case anyway. So. And again, I went from being like a scaredy cat with the condo to like, a crazy lion guy jumping into things with this property, but I don't know,
I have a loaded question for you, but did you find that the price of the renovation was a little different from doing a renovation in Canada?
Well, we had problems with that. Just, the work wasn't good. The tile guy that came in, like, I don't think he'd done tile before. It was bad. And they don't use, like, the guys tell me they don't use spacers and all that. I'm like, because we did like a white subway tile. I'm like, yeah, I'll pick something easy and straightforward. Like, how can you mess it up in that? And they did in that. But I mean, if you were to look at the Airbnb listing, you'd be like, it looks great. Like, it looks fine. Yeah. But I mean, I still found that it was tough to get work there, like tough to get people to work, tough to find contractors. And I, just because I'm maybe not experienced enough yet at it. And I'd love your thoughts on this because, again, the condo was turnkey, so I didn't need to do a reno. And I had a tough time finding people to come out and do work. And that was just me. And I did end up finding someone. And again, I wasn't too thrilled with the work, but it's fine for now, kind of thing.
How did you find the contractor? Just Google? Or?
Yeah, through Facebook groups and through Google. And, again, the wholesalers, anybody I reached out to said, hey, call this person. They were like, we're booked up, we're busy. We got a lot going on. Like, nobody seemed to want to work. Anybody who I reached out to, again, I know, my wife's mom's down there. Anybody who she recommended, no. And they also have, which I found is different, they have licenses per counties, right? Where a couple of them were like, you're in Pinellas County, we don't renovate there. I was like, dang, right? Because I have a guy from my condo that did like a microwave for me. He was great, reasonably priced, did a great job. And I was trying to get him to do the work, and he, I don't know, he was just busy in that too. So it felt a lot like here, to be honest, where nobody wants to work, or you got to be careful of who you hire. And I don't know. That's just been my experience. I'm hoping to find better contacts or better,
Maybe build out your team.
A better team there. But why was that a loaded question? I'm curious. Or what's your thoughts on that? Or
I found that my renovations were way cheaper in the US than I was doing in Canada. Yeah. But I'm
that's
also
where, that's where I thought you were going with it. I don't think mine was cheap. It was kind of where I thought it was.
Okay.
It was going to be like when the guy quoted me, like he charged me $3,200 to tile a bathroom, which I thought was, pretty expensive, like not expensive, but like standard. It wasn't cheap, but everything else is pretty standard. I spent about $8,000 on the reno total with, they did flooring, demo, painted a whole unit, did a bathroom, hardware changes, pot light changes. So, I mean, it was enough to clean it up and make it look good. I didn't think it was, like, I thought the pricing was reasonable. But yeah.
If I think this will be my last question, but if you had any advice to Canadians that were thinking about going to Florida or wherever, well, what would you give them for advice?
Just do it. Take action. I mean, I feel like everyone that I've talked to thinks it's more complicated than it is. Thinks that, I found a realtor, I found a mortgage broker. I, got pre-approved. I got, financing in order and, pulled the trigger, right? I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, the tax implications, you're going to hire an accountant. All these things can be figured out along the way, right? Even through Airbnb, like a lot of people are like, what kind of lock did you put on it? I'm like, don't, like, why is that a barrier? Why are you concerned about that? Why are you even thinking about that? There's a lot of easy solutions to the problems that you have in your mind. The biggest one is, hey, have you spoke to a mortgage broker or a bank or a realtor or a wholesaler, or however you want to go purchase properties? Those are going to be your two major, people that you need to have on your power team to start. And then you can acquire along the way and kind of work with what you have and start taking action, right? Like I'm a kind of big believer as, I know there's a lot of, meetups and, educational courses on this and that. And, I'm just like, just do it, just go do it and experience it and take a little bit of a risk. And, with some education, of course, you don't want to do it without researching, but everything's on these types of YouTube videos and podcasts and, free info out there for you to, to kind of pick a strategy, pick an area and go, take action.
I love it. Cameron, people wanted to track you down. What's some good contact for you?
Yeah, Cam Cassidy on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Cameron Cassidy Real Estate, I think, is on my Facebook. camcassidy1@gmail.com is my email if you wanted to reach out. And happy to share any info and help people. And I don't make any money off it. People keep asking me about like, hey, like I'm like, no, I hired a realtor, I hired a broker. I'm not, they want to like somehow pay me for, having a car. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm kind of in your same situation where, I'm doing well enough that, I'm happy to share my thoughts and, hope more people take action,
I love that. I love that. I love everything you said. And I love that stance, right? That, like you said, that's a stance I take too. You can, sometimes you got to do some stuff for free and sometimes you can help people for free, right? Depending what they're trying to do anyway. But anyway, Cameron, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. That was a lot of value. Even I wrote some notes down for some like turnover B&B. That was a gold right there.
Yeah, that's a huge app that I hope is, in areas that you're looking to, to do Airbnbs in, but that's saved my life with a lot of stress and saved me probably about 20% of property management fees.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ben.